All right, what's up, Brew Crew? Welcome back. We're at a special time tonight. There was an auction earlier, and I haven't really had good luck in doing the stream when there's an auction going on. So I pushed it back. My guess is on the West Coast, so that works out. It's at least roughly 4 o'clock at his time, so that works, right? All right. So I normally start off the show doing my spiel about US Arc. You guys all know that. Go support US Arc, duh, if you keep reptiles. And I am a bronze member. Anyway, let's shout out the chat. Lizard Morris, first one in here. Thanks for coming in. John, thanks for having me on your show the other week and sharing out the story for this one. Kike, always here. Aaron from Bows and Balls is a super classic, super supporter. Malacio from Wiz Constrictors. Check him out 10 o'clock tonight. For his podcast. Let's see. Reptile Club 310. Thanks for tuning in. And here's John saying we're late and that it's Matt's fault. All right, Dylan, thanks for tuning in. Soul Man. What's good, Jeremy? Look at the strong toe. Yeah, I got a haircut. I don't look like the Lorax anymore. So, all right. Without further ado, here's our guest, Matt Sommers Reptiles.
What's up, guys? How's it going?
Welcome.
Just chilling, man. Good old Saturday.
Yeah, I was about to say, how's your Sunday? But my show's on a Saturday, and I still have
to
really, figure that out. It's been this way for like half a year. But yeah. So give everybody a brief introduction for those who don't know who you are, where you're from, how long you've been keeping, that sort of.
Yeah, so the whole rundown. My name is Matt. I am 35 years old. I've been keeping reptiles since 2019. But 2019. Right before COVID. I got my first snake in an apartment. Didn't tell them about it. Actually, I was in an apartment at the time, and I had 3 snakes in the bearded dragon. They had no idea. Probably not the smartest thing to do when you're not the owner of where you're living and they can just toss you out if they find out. But I always liked reptiles and everything. I was never allowed to keep them growing up. I had every other pet you can imagine. Parakeets, hamsters, dogs, all that. My parents were like hard no on anything with scales. So most of my life, I wasn't able to have reptiles. Roommates were just kind of like, no snakes, nothing like that. They're smelly with bearded dragons. So when I finally got the opportunity to get a reptile, I took it, and then it just kind of snowballed into the whole. It's kind of like everyone's story to a certain extent, where you get one, and then you get another one, and then you discover something like Morph Market, and you're like, oh, there's hundreds of different kinds of colors and patterns that I can have with these snakes. Okay, let me fall down that rabbit. I think I got my first snake was in January of 2019, and it was a normal. And then I found Morph Market, and then I bought the Fire Mojave girl from Steve's Morphs. That was my first clutch, who's being locked up this year again to hopefully have another clutch. And then I bought like a pastel Enchi butter male. So I'm buying like stuff without recessives. I'm not planning to breed at all at this point. Like, I'm just thinking, okay, this looks cool. I'm gonna buy that. And then I start thinking like, oh, okay, well, I can start breeding. I really like blue-eyed Lucy's. I wanted a blue-eyed Lucy, but I was like, oh, I'm not gonna pay. I think at that time they were like $500. Like, I'm not gonna pay $500 for a snake. There's no way. Like, why would I do that? I'm just gonna. That's why I got the butter to put the Mojave, and I figured, okay, I'll just make my own blue-eyed Lucy. No big deal. That'll be easy. And I actually sold that male because it was a thing of like, there's no point in keeping him. I'm not going to breed him, type of thing. But I made the same mistake everybody else does. I just started buying stuff and not thinking ahead and thinking about, I need to do more research into this and look at what I want to look at, what projects are good. And then I start discovering other breeders and other, like, all these podcasts and websites and all that. And I just got hooked. So I think it was 2021 was when I decided to really just turn it into like a breeding business and just go all in. I started buying like all kinds of stuff, man. I did a whole video on like my first year expenses, and I remember watching, like, you watch it after you edit it, and I just thinking, like, did I really spend that much money this year? Like, holy crap, dude. And I mean, you know, COVID happened, and if there is a bright side to the whole being locked in our houses for a year and not being able to do anything, because, I mean, California was like a year and a half. We weren't able to really do much of anything out here. It was that all the excess money that I wasn't spending, I was putting into all the snakes. I was buying, you know, quality snakes, a lot of recessive stuff. I was buying racks and all that stuff. So it did benefit me to a certain extent with getting everything off the ground, because honestly, without COVID, I don't think I would have been able to put the money I put into it the first like year and a half. There's no way. And then that's where we are now. I mean, this is my second season. Had my first season last year. Was 3 clutches? Yeah, 3 clutches. Was it 19 eggs, all healthy babies, and I think I have like 6 from those 19 left. And all the rest have been either sold at reptile show, or the only one I went to so far, which was Pomona last year. And then Morph Market, you know, Morph Market's been pretty good to me for the most part.
I mean, but I feel that it's second season here too. But definitely being home, you know, was 2020, 2021 for the most part, and having that, you know, I'm not going to concerts, I'm not going to festivals, you know, and plus the government gave me some money. And I'm like, well, you know, I had a really small, like, I look at the room and you can't even see the rack that I had at that point. Since then, it's just
exploded out. Well, that's what happened to me. I have my when I got the house I'm in now, I had the downstairs like little den, and my mindset was, that's going to be the reptile room. I'm not going to go past that. Once that's full, that's it. I'm done. I'm not getting anything else. So, you know, I had a bunch of enclosures in there for non-ball pythons, and then I had the racks that I have, and now I've got a full separate upstairs bedroom that's just ball pythons. So the whole concept of just have one room got tossed out the window completely.
Yeah, I try to keep it to one room. It's my living room, dining room, whatever, main room.
Yeah.
The only thing that's not in here is the rats, and they're in a closet in the other room, because, you know, if I have them in here, I'm going to get tagged all the time, because it's going to be feeding day every day.
It's going to make them go crazy, yeah.
So I keep them separate. Usually have that door closed, have an air filter going. Exactly.
I totally agree.
Yeah, you get free money.
And you know, even like right now, I know people kind of right now are, I wouldn't say, I kind of are freaking out to a certain extent, but people now are saying, oh, the market's dying, it's dead, you know, no one's moving snakes. Now, right now, in my opinion, is a good time to buy stuff, because people are going to cut down the prices. So if you're looking to invest into a higher end animal and you can find a good price on it, buy it now, because you never know, it might shoot up again.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that, like anything in that you're taking to a show market, right, for a smaller show, you can get breeders, you know, single gene codom and stuff like that, really, really inexpensive right now. So, I mean, I think that's good. And, you know, on the whole, you know, if the market's down and prices are dropping and you have the ability to buy.
Exactly.
You know, expand your collection while it's cheap. You know, buy low, sell high, right?
Exactly. Well, I mean, that's the way I look at it too. It's like a stock market. Like right now, the market's going down, yeah, but it's not going to continue to. I mean, it might go down a little bit more. I don't know. I haven't been in the industry forever to know the patterns, you know. But right now, yeah, it's going down, but it's going to bounce back up and restabilize. And in my opinion, right now, the market, it's less of like, the way I see it is, it's less of the market crashing. It's more of the market's just restabilizing from the COVID craziness where it just blew up, and it's kind of getting back to what the regular is now. That's how I see it.
Right. I mean, there's certain things that, you know, throughout the whole time have stayed level, like a normal.
Yeah.
For the most part, they're $20. That's not going to change.
Yeah.
So for those listening, if you're looking to get a ball python as a pet and you don't want to spend too much money, go to a reptile show, and you can probably get a normal for $20.
I will actually literally have a normal at the Anaheim Super Show in 3 weeks, because that's the thing too. You learn real quick with this is you can have a clutch that you get great odds and it's beautiful, and you can have a clutch where you just get dunked on and it makes you feel real bad. And that was my first clutch this year. It was a 4-8 clutch. It was a visual to a het with clown. So theoretically, I should have hit 2. and I hit none, and I hit 3 males, and one was a normal.
Oh.
So I'm just like, oh, you gotta be kidding me right now. So that's the one girl I hit was a cool female, so that's obviously a holdback. But the other 3, they'll be at Pomona in a few weeks. So if you need a pet snake that's a normal male, he's eating fine and everything. Nice little chunky boy.
I mean, for me, like when I got back into it, I went and bought that $20 normal male. Turns out that normal male was a female and was heifer pied and produced my first clutch last year.
That's a cool come up though, not knowing it was a het, and then you're like, oh, okay.
Well, I was looking at him like it's got railroad tracks, and then I paired it to a champagne, and then it was like, okay, popped out a pied looking animal, and it's like, okay, that thing is heifer pied. His champagne's weird like that. But yeah, sometimes you luck out and that stuff happens.
Yep. Well, that was the thing too, going back to the first male I bought, that pastel Enchi butter that I got for, I think he was like $150, and I bought it off of some guy that no idea who he was, like just random dude off Morph Market, and he said it was a double het hypopod. And now, when I got rid of him, I sold him at Pomona actually, and I told him, I was like, hey, listen, I'm selling him as a pastel Enchi butter. He could be double het. I'm not going to charge you for it because I can't guarantee that. I don't know if this guy's lying to me, if he's being honest. I was like, so if you breed him to something that's hypo and pied, you could get a free double het male, but I'm not going to tell you he's double het. And then you breed him, and then he's not. And then you come back to me and like, you sold me a fake double het. And I'm like, listen, that wasn't me. I didn't produce that animal.
Right. But even if stuff for your own collection, do you really want to explain to a pet person that this thing's like,
oh yeah,
pet pied pos something? It's like, no, it's just butter.
And that's why I try to like avoid playing the like pos het 66% het, even though my second clutch it was a het to het, and it was a double het, so it is gonna have that. But I mean, it is what it is. Those are the ones you can explain to the more like the breeder people. Okay, well, it's 66% hypo and it could be het DG, and they'll be like, oh, okay, I get it. The pet people would be like, oh, it's a super Enchi.
Yeah. But even on my Morph Market, I do include what the pairing was that produced it. Yeah. So you will be able, if you can do the math, it might not be listed as what it could be. I mean, I have a champagne pastel male that's possibly het for pied, possibly het for lavender albino.
Yeah.
There's the possibility that both things exist, or they don't. I'm not going to sell it as that because it's 50 and 30, whatever a pos hat.
The pos hat, yeah.
Yeah, it could be there. And so long as that male sits here and then I have a pastel, same clutch, if they don't sell for, what I want them to, I can grow them up and see if I hit a lavender albino, dreamsicle, whatever out of there, or at least prove out the pastel to be het for pie.
Yeah.
That's some more value because champagne that's your het pie test.
And I think genetic testing makes that a lot easier too now with a lot of the het to het pairings, because before it was like you pair het to het, then you got to hold it all back, then you got to grow it up, then you got to breed it to see what did hit, and then if it doesn't hit, you're like, oh cool, I wasted 3 years.
Right.
It's not worth it. But now with the testing, you can actually, hopefully, depending on what it is,
So I actually have speaking of like het to het and like, that sort of pairing, I have a predicament. I'm waiting on, hopefully she goes this year. It's going to be double het ultra pieds.
Oh, nice.
So if I hit a male, I have a female pied 100% and ultra male growing up. So that's, a nice pairing. My odds are decent that I'm going to hit pieds.
I like the double het to like one visual and het pairing too. I feel like that's a smart way to go about things too.
So if that doesn't happen, now I have this year and next year to do it. By the time she's ready. So if none of that, even if it does happen and he's not ready, I might as well just pair my male ultra male to that pied het ultra male.
Yeah.
Hit ultra male. If I hit an ultra male het pied male, then my odds just go up
more. Exactly.
And given, if I do produce the other double het stuff, having, a clutch of ultra male het stuff, is gonna, this whole rack's gonna be filled up with
Yeah.
stuff I'm holding back just to pump out ultrapides and throw
That's
in.
kind of how my rack, the one rack I have right now is like half empty, and people are like, well, it's still empty. I'm like, that's all for holdbacks. I'm not buying anything the rest of the year, really. That's all for all those things I produce that I hold back.
Exactly. This whole thing is breeder females, but all empty.
Yeah.
And it's for the future. It's like, I know I'm with the projects I'm working, I know I'm going to have more.
Yeah. And that's really how I see it too. Cause I don't want to be nothing against the people that do it, but I don't want to be a 300-400 clutch a year person. I'm perfectly content with honestly, probably capping out at 80.
Yeah. And
I feel like 80 is still a lot, a lot.
Yeah,
John's. Hey, he hit that clown DG.
Yeah, congrats, man. I saw that, and it's like I got super excited.
You know what, though, John? You're right too. I did say at the beginning of the year I wasn't gonna buy any snakes, and then I ended up buying 3 in a month. But I haven't bought anything since. But there was I went 4 months into the year and not buying anything, and then there were 3 deals that happened where I was like, I can't. Fireball had that half off sale where I was like, I can't say no to this. Previously, I bought a pastel DG double het hypo clown for half off. I was like, I can't, I have to. I can't say no.
Yeah, I say that it's I'm done. I'm going to wait till I produce stuff. Blah 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 blah. If I absolutely need it or it furthers a project, I'll get it. And I've been using my rodent production as currency, so $200 snakes, 100 rodents.
Yeah,
it's very easy for me to just collect those and throw them in the freezer and trade.
Yeah, that's why I gotta start breeding rats too. Creative. I'm in Menifee, California, so I'm trying to think if people know California as LA or San Diego. I'm literally in the middle between San Diego and LA. I'm an hour north of San Diego, an hour south of LA. So I'm dead central of Southern California, pretty much. Hour from Palm Springs, hour from the beach.
Nice.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. I mean, I talk about wanting to get out of California, but where I'm at is actually kind of nice being able to drive an hour and I can go to the mountains, I can go to the beach, I can go to the river. The river is 3 hours away. I can go to the desert. I can go anywhere out here. So it is pretty cool. Cost of living sucks though, big time.
Yeah. I complain about that here in Pennsylvania, and then I drive, to Western PA or, to Maryland, outside of the DC metro, Western Maryland or West Virginia or, Ohio. And it's man, I've been complaining about gas and they're complaining about gas and it's 50 cents cheaper. Come on now.
It's frustrating and depressing whenever I go back east and I see gas prices and I'm like, what? You're paying $2 less. How is this possible? Hey, what's up, VT or YT? YT.
Everybody's about the hair. I'm not wearing a hat for once.
That's how I feel. Who was it? Someone when I was on, I can't remember who said it. They're like, "Oh, Matt's got a hat on tonight. He's not looking like Jimmy Garoppolo." And I was like, "Wow!" It's all right. It's I've never gotten Jimmy Garoppolo, but I'll take it. He's got good hair.
Oh, I made the mistake. I forget whose show I was on, but I had a flannel on because it's winter. Yeah. I want to be warm. And it was a red flannel.
Oh, no.
And I got Al Borland.
Oh, no. And I can totally see it now, too.
I was like, should I be insulted? A little bit, but that's funny as hell.
It's one of those where you're kind of I'm not mad at it, but I get it.
Yeah, it made me laugh. And then somebody changed my name. So when I came on the next live, it showed up as Al Borland, and I didn't check when I entered the StreamYard. But anyway, nice little.
YT. Oh, how's that snake doing, by the way? Awesome. Picked up that chocolate double head banana.
Nice.
I love those, man. That was the clutch from last year. It was 7 eggs, and I hit 6 out of the 7 were bananas. And I was like, dude, what the heck? It was one of those things where because I wanted one male to be a chocolate inchy double head hypo clown, and I just kept cutting the eggs. And I was like, banana, and it was a female maker banana. So I knew the females theoretically should all be female. So I'm cutting. I'm like banana. I'm like, I'm 4 eggs in. I'm like, how are these all banana right now? And then I finally hit the male. That wasn't a banana, and then it kept hitting bananas. That's wild. Damn, 500 grams. That's good. I love it.
Yeah, I felt that my first clutch. It's like champagne something. Ooh, there's a pastel, and then another champagne. It's like,
and it's crazy. I've noticed how some genes they hit a lot harder than other genes do. Like banana hit really hard when I bred it. The last clutch I just hatched out, it was an Enchi cinnamon hypo to a fire Enchi red stripe double het hypo DG, and almost everything in there came out either Enchi or super Enchi.
Wow. I wouldn't be complaining.
No, I'm not. It's such. I haven't posted it yet. I was gonna post a video on it. The only bummer is the coolest snake in that, because I'm very like upfront. I put everything out there. Like I don't hide shit. The coolest looking snake out of that clutch came out with one eye, and I'm like, well, you're gonna be a holdback no matter what, because I think so. It's 2 of them already shed. The other 4 still have to shed. So I'm waiting for it to shed before I start bugging people like, hey, what do you think this is? It hasn't shed yet, but does it have hypo? You know, I don't want to be that guy. But
yeah,
I think it is a cinnamon fire red stripe hypo, which it looks pretty cool. But like I said, it's got one eye. So I'm like, oh.
But if you get that like completely no pattern or anything on the shed, you can probably figure out that it's hypo.
That's what I'll be waiting for.
Or the unethical, pro tip is to circle something on the pattern right before it sheds, and then
see if it comes off.
See it.
Yeah.
It's hypo.
Yeah, I hope it is, man, because there's 2 snakes in that clutch that are really, really cool that I think are hypo. And that's another, going back to the whole odds, like my odds with visual clown to het clown have been terrible. I think I was telling Wiz, I think I've total eggs wise, visual to het, I've had like 14 eggs, and I've only hit 2 visual clowns off of those 14, and off of visual to het. So I should have hit 7. Theoretically, I've only hit 2. This clutch, the double het hypo pairing, hypo to hypo, or hypo het hypo. I think I hit 3 out of the 6 were hypos. So I'm just like, it's all gambling.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like, whatever your odds are in the pairing, it's that per egg.
Yeah.
It's not like
exactly.
It's not like throughout the whole clutch itself. It's each egg has a, 1 in 8 chance of being a visual.
A visual, yeah.
Yeah, because double het to double het is 1 in 16. Anyway, recessive odds, and then you throw in DG, and well,
that's that whole thing. God, dude. And I made the meme story that I was like, hey, if anyone wants to get rid of their DG now, I'll buy for cheap, But like, my take on that is, we've been breeding it fine for 15 years, so I don't think. I think everything's gonna be fine. I think people just new data comes out and they freak out.
Yeah, I mean, I think I did a video on it in regards to my collection. Now I have 3 pause heads.
Okay. Yeah, I've got 2 pause, like 66%. So I'm kind of like, okay, I'm gonna test you anyways. But
so even if they show up, the males show up, A, B, but they all have to have C, or one of them does, if I understand it correctly. So, sure, they could all come back for DG enhancer, but if they're missing that, whatever that activator is.
Yeah, that missing link gene that they're trying to figure out now.
But, it needs, you can do the het A and het B plus the C to get the visual. But I'm wondering if you have a homozygous A, nothing on the B and the C, if you can add the B later,
what
it'll do.
Yeah.
So, again, I think there needs to be more information on it, what exactly we're looking at.
it's still super early in discovering this, where it's like you really can't. I mean, it's information, but you really can't take it in fully until there's more figured out. Like they still got to figure out what the C gene is, you know?
Right. But at the same time, the females het for genetic stripe, and the males are double het clown genetic stripe. So I'm still
I
doing.
love the way clown and genetic stripe work together too. I think that's. I was never huge on genetic stripe until I started seeing like the combos you can make. I'm like, well, this is pretty damn cool. Now I kind of wish I had gotten into it.
Yeah. So worst case scenario, I'm shed testing the consuming clutch anyway, or at least anything that's genetic stripe to see if I hit females that are het clown, and then hold those back, and then put the male to them. The Kiki clown's about 6 years too late.
6 years too late.
But again, that's as it stands right now for me. Something can change in 3 months, 4 months.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, that's the cool thing about the morphs and ball pythons too. I feel like look at some of the genes that Justin's like brought back to the tip, like red stripe. No one was messing with red stripe, and then Justin was like, "Hey, look what it does with this snake," and then it just shot up overnight on Morph Market. You never know. You could have something in your rack that you're kind of like, it doesn't do much, and then you hit something cool, and next thing you know, everybody wants it.
All I need is Justin to make something awesome with champagne.
Yeah.
And then I'll be like, okay, here you go, everybody. Here's the stuff I can sell for the past 3 years.
I'm pretty sure he's been working with it too with some stuff, I think, if I recall. I think I remember him posting something with champagne where I was like, ooh, that's pretty cool.
I mean, on its own, it's a pretty cool looking snake.
Yeah.
You put anything else with it, and it destroys it.
It's super overpowering, yeah. And is that in the spot nose complex? Yeah.
The spider, yeah.
The spider, yeah.
The OG spider. So
which is
super champagne is dead.
Yeah.
Anything in that original complex don't work. But if you pair it to blackhead or spot nose, anything in that newer sort of connected through spot nose spider stuff, you can have the ALS thing. So I mean that's kind of cool. So
that's definitely the coolest part about these. Is like, the alleles and all that. We're like, if like the Inchy cinnamon that I had this year, I was like, I can't make a normal. I literally won't make a normal off of this snake. I love it.
Yeah, and I had because I paired a super pastel leopard butter to a Blue-eyed Lucy butter Mojave, and for the longest time I think I'm like, oh yeah, I got a better chance of hitting bells, but everything's going to be pastel, and I was wrong. Everything will be pastel, but it's going to be butter or Mojave too.
Yeah.
I forgot about that actually super pairing when I was talking about it. So, and it was like a year after. It was like, oh, yeah.
You realize you're like, oh crap, okay.
Okay, that's. So now I really wish that one would have gone instead of the butter, but it is what it is. Yeah, I like getting into that where everything's a super or acts like super, and I like being surprised, but I also like knowing.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially as you add more and more things to, as far as codoms and things like that. If you have
like chocolate, it's hard to ID sometimes. So if you have a super chocolate, you at least know everything's chocolate. You don't got to play that guessing game of like, I think it's a chocolate, maybe, but.
What's up, Chad?
What's up, Chad? That's my Star Wars buddy. I love Chad.
Nerds.
Chad knows that Star Wars stuff.
But there's certain things that like blush up the belly, right? Like lace, yellow belly, butter. Most of the bell complex. It's like, well, how the hell do you know if it's there when there's like a definitive white line throughout the snake? So I think having supers acts like supers. You can be like, yeah, this has to be here.
That's what I love too. Yeah, supers it makes things so much easier. Like the chocolate stuff with me, I asked a bunch of people. Well, people that work with chocolate. So I asked like Will, Khalil, people like that. I was like, does this have chocolate? And they're like, yeah, I'm pretty sure it has chocolate. I'm like, cool. Because I mean, the last thing I want to do is just that's probably my biggest fear in this is IDing something wrong and then selling it. Because I had one banana Inchy chocolate that I wasn't like 100% sure whether or not, because even Khalil told me. He was like, hey, with the Enchian chocolate, it's going to be hard to ID right away. You're going to have to wait until it goes through a few sheds and gets bigger, and then you'll be able to see it a little bit better. I was like, okay, cool. But I ended up selling one of them. I was like, I can't guarantee you that it has chocolate. So if it has chocolate, you got a free gene. But congrats.
Yeah. For me, it's like, what can I see? What was in the pairing that I know of? Maybe somebody says, oh yeah, something else is in there.
Yeah.
Like, well, all right. I don't know that for sure. It could be. I can't see it, especially when dealing with champagne. You can hide a lot of stuff. Could there be Mojave in there? Maybe.
Yep. I feel like that's a good way to get people coming back too, is if like you sell them a snake and you're like, I can't guarantee this gene, I'm not going to charge you this gene. And then they breed it and then they hit it. They're going to be like, oh, he hooked me up. He didn't, charge me for this snake and I got a free gene. I'm going to go buy another one from him,
Yeah, I really wish people would buy some. Anyway, so a pitch to myself, go on my morph market. If you're interested in that champagne pastel male, I'll bring him out right now.
Yeah, show it off. There we go.
Look, he's upside down. You don't have a wobble or anything. If you're interested in him, I will make you a deal if you inquire, and the keyword will be Matt Sommers Reptiles.
There you go. So go inquire.
And I will take, 25% off, something like that. I'll make it ridiculously cheap. It's already down to $125, so we'll drop it down even more. Get him out of my rack.
That's right now. All I have are males left available, and I'm just like, someone please buy these. Like, I'm not breeding any of these guys because a lot of them are like, dude, I have right now from last like the 5 I have left. 2 of them are fire leopard het clown males. And then I hatched out another 2 fire leopard het clown males this season. I'm like, bro, I don't need 4 fire leopard het clowns. So if you're going to the Anaheim Super Show in a few weeks, let me know and I'll hook you up with a cool fire leopard. I mean, they look cool. I love the way fire and leopard work together, and that's actually another thing I like to do for the shows, because I'm all about I take things from people that I meet and look up to a lot of, with like how they ship their animals and what they include. Like, I know when you buy a steak from Will Morrow's, he gives you a whole experience. It's not like your standard shipping thing. So I took a lot of that, and Garrett Hartle at Reach Out Reptiles, same thing. You get the whole fancy box and all this cool stuff. So I took a lot of that, put it into my own thing. I'm kind of doing the same thing with shows too, where like I'm learning to like, okay, instead of taking all my sheds and just throwing them away, why don't I repurpose these and take these sheds and I'll just make cool little things out of them, like put them in little display things with like an egg or something. And because you never know, like there's like in California, the super shows, they're awesome, but I think they're very pet showish. And it's a lot of time it's people that go to these shows, they just want to go to take their kids to go see animals. Like it's not big on.
It's a cheap zoo.
Yeah, exactly. So the logic is, if I take these sheds and I put them in these little containers and make them look cool and sell them for $10, that kid is going to see the snakes, and maybe the mom or the dad will be like, I don't want a snake. I'm not going to pay, $300 for a snake. No snakes in the house. But they see the shed and they're like, I'll buy you the snake shed for $10. So I've kind of learned that. And that I did that at my first show, and I think I sold like 4 or 5 snake sheds. And I'm just like, dude, that paid for parking for the weekend. Like, it's a win. So any little thing I'm learning, like any little thing I can do to just make myself stand out from everyone else at the show, I'll gladly do it.
Yeah. We make fun of somebody in our PA group that has the giant stuffed snakes. We joke that he sells more of them than he does his actual animals.
I almost sold more snake sheds than actual snakes at that show, actually. I ended up moving 5 snakes and sold 4 sheds, so I was like, wow.
Little things like that, even if it's artwork, it's something in addition to, say you have somebody come to your table that's not a ball python person, but you got these cool the shed art, or For me, I've got dubia, or I might have excess rodents, or heck, maybe even a leopard gecko. If that egg hatches. Something else to sort of get the attention of a potential buyer. It's like,
Yeah.
well, I don't have whatever you're looking for, but here.
Exactly.
Perfect entry level, or maybe I'm getting rid of one of my pets because it's time and I have to expand the ball python stuff. Sorry, Mr. Bearded Dragon, you might go at some point. But I have certain pets where I'm like, I need the space. What am I doing with you?
Yeah, well, that's the first snake I got, the normal. I still have that snake. It's not going to get bred. It's actually it's at work in my work office in an Exoterra, just living its best little life in that thing, and is happy and content. I will say it is my worst eater, probably because it is in an Exoterra. Not to start that debate, but I mean, I've gotten crap for racks from people like, oh, why are you keeping blah 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 blah, and I'm just like, listen, I've done a video on it. Go look. Look. Let me plug that real quick.
Yeah, back to the YouTube channel. And that's what I use my Instagram for. Back to the YouTube channel.
Oh yeah,
it's about everything for the most part. And it's like, check it out on YouTube. Sorry.
And I've had people tell me when it comes to the Morph Market sales, they like that I post the YouTube video in the actual listing, because you can actually see, oh, it was born here. Here are the parents. Here's when it came out. All that. So I think you don't have to have a YouTube to like think I'm gonna be huge and make money, and I'm just gonna live off of YouTube. That's never been my thing. I've always known like YouTube is just there as a marketing thing for me, and kind of like a way to keep records also, because
right.
I record clutch cuttings and updates and all that, and I have it on file on YouTube. Okay, this snake was born here. There you go. Here's the snake out of the egg. Here's the snake after its first shed. Here's all the YouTube stuff if you're curious.
Here's the 6 other videos I did because I didn't have any other content at the moment.
Yeah, that too. And
I did that last year. I was like, I hit a lull, and I hit a lull for a while. And I took a month break. I got back into it 2 weeks ago when I did my live, and then I was on with John, and I was like, look, and talking with him, it's like, I gotta start doing this again.
Yeah.
I did the same thing. Or 2 a week, shorts, back to the lives.
I did the same thing. I went, so all of 2022, my goal was, it was the tail end of 2021. I think it was like November of 2021. I was like, okay, I want to go a full year starting now of 1 video a week. Every Monday, put a video out for a year straight. I did it, but the last 4 to 5 weeks, it was a chore, because I was kind of running out of, like I said, I was running out of content. I was kind of like, what the hell do I do? I'm not having eggs right now. My eggs are done for the year. I don't have content to do right now. And I was kind of like, I'm not a big fan of just making stuff just to make it and put it out. I didn't want to be that guy where it's like, oh, he's doing, my top 5, whatever. I didn't want to do those. So I fell off. I haven't really done too much YouTube this year, but I think with YouTube, my plan for it is it's not going to be a weekly thing. It's just going to be kind of like a clutch cuttings, clutch updates.
When you have the content.
Yeah, when I have the content, and if that throws me out of the algorithm, hey, it's fine. It is what it is. I get it. But at the end of the day, those videos are just there to attach to Morph Market and to put, so other eyes can see them. It's not. I'm not going to try to be. I'm not going to be Brian Barczyk on YouTube, man. That's never going to happen.
Every day. But for those of you that do see my shorts, I am very sorry that it is the same 5 or 6 snakes every day.
And that's
ways.
And that's me with Instagram. Instagram's like, oh, you got to post every day, and I'm like, bro, I've got 60 snakes. No, 70. If you can't count my hatchlings and the not holdbacks, I've got 75 ball pythons in that room right now. That's enough to do 1 snake every day for 2 months. So it's still the same thing. You're gonna be seeing repetition, and a lot of snakes. I've got, like I said, I've got 4 male fire leopard head clowns. Do you really want me to show you? Hey, this is fire leopard head clown A, fire. Every day. No, I feel bad. I'm really bad at social media right now. I need to get back on it for sure.
But I do find it funny how I can put, like, I have a light box, so I'll put a snake in there, get it all dialed in, and it looks beautiful, right? It's a great visual representation. 500 views. I'll just pull out the tub.
That drives me nuts.
1,500. It's like,
I hate it. I hate it so much.
Can't even tell what this is.
Yeah, you think, you post a really cool reel and you think, this is going to do great. Look at this. It looks awesome. And then you put it up and it's like you said, yeah, same thing. It's like, 500 views. And then you take no effort. You just pull a snake out, take a quick photo that's a little bit blurry, but not that bad. And it blows up. And you're like, I don't get this. Like,
and then you add the filter where it blurs in and blurs out. And I don't know. I'm not big on the short form content, so I'm not going to put effort into it. It will be me opening tubs or holding snakes or in the light box, and that's it. I'm not going to be like,
And the thing is, too, most of us, we still work 9 to 5. So it's like, I don't have all day to just make short form content. Most of the time when I was doing the YouTube stuff, I was shooting and editing it on the weekend. So,
Yeah.
Luke's good at it too, but I can only. You put Luke's content is freaking insane.
But it also shows because he has a substantial following.
He's got thumbnails for his content. Like, you can tell Luke puts the extra effort into his stuff, but it pays off.
Yeah. For me, I'm not that creative when it comes to that sort of thing, and I'm not. I have a 9 to 5. I have. I'm the only one here. It's not like my dog's gonna be cleaning tubs or. If I have a long day at work and it's like, I'm done today. We're going to go put on the, some reptile podcast and I'm going to relax. I don't have time to, go through whatever. But it can be like, I think Jaffe said it best. Treat it like you're going to the gym when it comes to posting content, at least on YouTube. It's like, okay, I have a video on Tuesday. I better be filming that tomorrow. Well, in this week's case, on Monday for Tuesday. And then do my new show on Thursday, which I still haven't figured out if it's going to be live or not. I didn't really get that great of feedback on the first one, so I might have to pivot. But anyway, I would have to do that on either Tuesday or Wednesday, and then preparing for this for Saturday. I mean, it's
a lot.
Work. And then if you're not live, you're editing videos.
Yeah. And
dialing it. It's like, okay, where am I putting my hand up to shut off the camera, or where's that click at, sort of to edit out those things, or am I, did I say something weird?
That's oh god. And there's nothing more frustrating than when you're shooting like a YouTube video and the whole thing is going great, and then there's just, you screw up on one part, like, well, I got to reshoot all that because I screwed up there. But
at the end of my pre-recorded live on Thursday, I was talking about something. I'm like, you know what? I don't even know if I have permission to make that public.
You're like, crap.
And I'm like, okay, so it's like, it looks like I just lagged a little bit and like skipped, and then I say goodbye. But there's another like minute and a half of me talking about somebody that I appreciated what they did for the community, but they are currently not here, and I didn't want to, make that public if it wasn't public.
Yeah, I totally get that. Yeah, it's funny because when I was looking for content to make, there was a point where I was like, I've got enough bloopers and bad edits to where I could just make a whole 10-minute video, just me screwing stuff up, saying the wrong gene, saying the wrong sex, just.
Oh, I catch myself with the wrong hats.
Yeah, I'll say that. I'll be like, oh, this is a het. I'm like, no, it's not. It's a visual. It's a visual. It's not a het. It's a visual. Why am I saying het?
Yeah, I do that all the time, and sometimes I'm not even thinking about it, or even on a live. I'll I know what the snake is. I can read what the hell it is.
Yeah.
But I just in the moment it's like, no, that's not het for that. Or with my het enhancer, possible het enhancer stuff, I'll say it's DG. That's semantics, but
I accidentally called that. It was so funny. Anthony over at Granddaddy Herbs one time, I posted his banana clown that I got from him is sired a couple of my clutches the first 2 seasons, but it's banana, and I accidentally put Coral Glow one time on a post, and I ended up running. He goes, "Hey, you're mislabeling my stuff Coral Glow. It's banana," and I was like, oh shit, I was like, my bad, dude. It's like, oh.
I don't think I've ever done it on like a post.
I
To
did.
my knowledge,
And I caught it and I was like, I need to go edit that right now. I was like, it's not Coral goes banana.
I know I've had typos and whatnot.
But that's a whole nother story. Not a story, but another thing with like one gene having two names being the same thing where I'm like, God.
Sometimes it's one gene with three names.
Yeah, that too. I have acid, and then people are like, oh, acid's the same as what? Static and confusion?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or so far. And then with Hurricane, Blitz, and Trick.
Yeah.
Lesser Butter, Coral Glow Banana. I mean, there's some that are kind of obvious.
I mean, I get it. People, they find the genes and they name them. You don't want to just throw away the hard work they put into like getting that fleshed out, but it's definitely annoying.
Came around before we had social media.
Yeah.
So I think it would be much harder now to do that. You could have been in California, you came up with Lesser, and I'm in Pennsylvania, I came up with Butter.
Yeah.
And we never interacted until
you have no idea until they're both out there and you're like, wait, it's the same snake.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. He knows I like Ultramel.
Ultramel. Hey, I'm in. Okay, I would say there's three that are relatively the same. So you got Ultramel, you've got Monarch, and then you've got Rainbow. I like all three, but I really like the Rainbow stuff a lot.
Yeah, and I don't know where that is on the albinism spectrum.
I don't either. If anyone's curious about Rainbow, hit up Joel from State 48. That's my boy. I love Joel. Super nice guy. He's got some really cool Rainbow stuff. I saw his in person. And I was like, dude, that's like a brighter banana that is not going to spot and look brownish,
I've only ever seen one. And like looking at it, like what it did sort of was like the opposite of what I anticipated with an albino type gene. I don't know if it's T-pause or G-neg.
I think it's T-pause.
So that was
I remember
Ultramel and Monarch.
Yeah,
with Burgundy and Caramel are over on that spectrum. But yeah, I mean it looked really, really cool.
And the thing with those two is like I think it's funny to get into the whole Monarch versus Ultramel thing, but certain genes work better with one and certain genes work better with the other. Like I've seen a chocolate Monarch and that thing looked amazing. I mean, I'm a huge fan of chocolate. I love chocolate. I'm hoping to hit super chocolates this year. If everything goes right and like planned out, which it probably won't because it never does, I could hit super chocolates that are going to be hypo DG, but we'll see what happens. Yeah,
that's something to look forward to.
Yeah, if I hit that I think that clutch, and then there's a pairing I have that's it's my black pastel cypress Mojave hypo that I paired to one of the first ones I got was the fire Mojave. So theoretically, I could hit the old white snake and not know what's in it. Yes, but I could also hit some really cool stuff with the fire and cypress and all that, and they'll be hit hypos. So
now, if you hit that all white snake with everything,
it's being held back 100%.
Yeah,
100%.
I might run into a similar issue, but there's hoping that it has to be pastel, but everything else in there, I'm like, I don't know.
Yep. I mean, the plus side is that if I do hit the all white snake, I'll know. Okay, obviously it's Mojave, and then obviously it's going to be het hypo at least. So anything else in there would be a welcomed addition. But and then obviously you could. Who knows? I mean, by that point, who knows where the testing is? They could have a black. I think they do have a black pastel testing coming out actually.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't looked at what RGI has to offer.
Yeah, but
I'm still in the old school. I'm gonna find out myself.
Yeah,
for the most part, with the exception.
Yeah, I don't have the money to be testing like 40 snakes a year. Like for me, the testing is gonna come for like certain snakes that I'm like, okay, I need to know what you have in it, and they'll get tested, but I'm not gonna test everything. That's just I don't have that kind of money laying around to do.
But I mean, for me, a double het versus a triple het, that's some power, especially with G-Stripe Clown and DG.
Yeah,
it's a big.
That's a wicked snake. Yeah.
It's not like it's a pause triple het where it's like, oh well, this is a norm one. I just spent more than it's worth to figure out that it was a normal.
Yeah, that would feel real bad, paying triple hit price for normal, and then it turns out it's only hit for one.
Yeah. I mean, there's certain things where it's like, I'm doing the pairing anyway. Like, I have a super vanilla trick, possible het clown. My possible blade clown is going to that animal.
Yeah.
If it proves out, I'm going to do a backflip. Vanilla, a vanilla blade trick clown.
Yeah, that'd be sick. Yeah.
I'll be doing a happy dance, like, that clutch cutting. You can get the blooper reel. It will never make the YouTube.
Yeah.
My first one, I had to do a voiceover because I was so excited.
You couldn't talk, yeah.
Well, I could talk, but I get overly excited anytime I saw like white. It's like, I know that one's the het pied, or whatever. Yeah. And there's a bunch of F-bombs and whatnot.
That's been the hardest part for me with the YouTube, was like not cursing. Because I'm like, okay, because anyone that knows me in person, I talk like a sailor. Like, I have a potty mouth. It's just, I grew up playing hockey. My dad has a potty mouth. My mom has a potty mouth that keeps it in check unless she gets mad. Then it comes out. So it's terrible, but I can keep it in check when I need to. Like, when I go on a podcast, I keep it, keep it clean. When I do my YouTube, I was always trying to keep it clean. And then same thing, there'd be moments where I would drop an F-bomb and be like, well, crap, I can't use that now.
Yeah, that's... sometimes you're going to have a guest on where it's like, if you have Chris Eaton on,
Yeah, you can't control that.
or any of the guys, from that Tuesday podcast.
Yeah, there's no way. You're like, no, just let it flow. And that's
or if you have Billy from Mutation Creation. Maybe 5 minutes in, maybe.
That's why I was laughing too when our boy John had Billy on. I was like, John likes to keep his podcasts not short, but like in a time frame, like between 1 to 2 hours. I feel like that time I was like, good luck keeping that to like 1 to 2 hours with Billy, because Billy loves to talk about snakes and the industry and everything. I was like, I don't think it's going to happen. I think that ended up being like a 3.5 hour podcast. But I love it. I love when Billy talks, because I just soak in all his knowledge. So
I love when I have a talker on. It's great. I had Tucker from Purple Rain Reptiles on.
Tucker's a cool guy. I like Tucker.
A couple weeks ago, and I think we went like 2.5. We went pretty long for me. Normally I'm like 90 minutes, but for some reason the Pacific Northwest guys, they keep me on for entirely too long. And it's just him talking about green tree pythons for like 90 minutes. I'm like, this is great. I'm just like, yeah,
I love awesome. Tree pythons. Man. That's if they weren't so like hard to like breed and keep alive, like as you breed them, I would love to do it, but I don't want that heartbreak. I've got 2, and I'm like, people are like, oh, you're gonna breed them? I'm like, I'm content with those just being pets, and they're fine. I was like, I don't gotta breed everything. I've got dwarf retics, I've got the emerald tree boa, I've got green tree pythons. I just ball pythons breed, yeah. The other ones, I just like having them. They're fun snakes.
Yeah. Currently, the only other one I have is a Central American dwarf boa.
Okay.
I have no clue what the hell the locale is. Got it from XYZ. But it's about 3.5 foot. He's a cantankerous son of a gun. And probably after I get off here and I'll go watch John or whoever, I'll be handling that son of a gun to try to calm him down. But
that's how my carpet python is, man. He's not nice.
But I do have, I don't know when I'm picking it up, but I'm getting a male T-Paws blood python.
Okay. Because
I need something to eat my retired breeder rats.
Yeah.
Eventually. So to have
that's the problem I'll have whenever because I have all the stuff to breed the rats. I need to get like a building or area to do it, because I can't do that in my garage, because I have HOAs here and my neighbor is a Karen and a half. And I've got one neighbor. I'm on the end of a cul-de-sac. So you would think he's only got one neighbor. How bad can it be? She's the worst person on the block. So if she had any inclination that I have like 80 snakes in this house, she would freak out and call the HOA and report me, and I would get in trouble, because technically I'm supposed to like clear it through them. Every exotic animal that I have, I must clear it through the HOA to have it. I obviously did not do that because I'm not going to clear. And this HOA's rules are dumb because they even have like birds and fish listed under the exotics. So you have to clear so much. So let me get this straight. If I go buy a clownfish, I have to clear this fish through you guys. Like what? But yeah, I couldn't do it. If I was breeding rats in there and she smelled that, oh, it'd be game over. Game over.
Yeah, when I moved in, I had the singular ball python, who's no longer here, unfortunately. I don't know how old she was, but she passed the first year we tried to breed her. When I was leasing up my apartment, I was like, hey, as long as it's in an enclosure, right, you guys are cool. Like, I have a snake. I don't have to pay the pet fee, right? And then I've been looking at my pet addendums over the year, and it's like they totally changed their policy because of me.
Oh no! Going back to the intro story about having the snakes in the apartment and not telling. So that was there was a scary moment with that where I had a massive flooding issue with my bathroom where it flooded my entire apartment. I was at work, so I obviously couldn't stop it. I get a call. I'm at work. And they tell me, hey, there's water coming out of your front door. We need to go into your house and figure out what's going on. I'm thinking like, one, oh shit, is it my fridge? Like, did I leave the fridge open and like the freezer melted? No, it could be that. And I'm thinking, it's the toilet. Crap, it's the toilet. And then my mind goes from that, and I'm like, oh, the snakes, like they're gonna see all my animals. This is so bad. And so I work for my family's business. It's construction. I go into the office and tell my dad, I'm like, hey, I need to leave right now. He goes, why? I was like, my apartment is flooding and my animals are in there and they're going to see those animals and I'm going to be in trouble. And he's like, yeah, get out of here. So get down there. Luckily, it was only the like maintenance guys that had gone in there, like the front office and the management hadn't gone in there. They weren't going to go in there until everything got cleaned out. Yeah, for sure. So I ended up, so that happened on like a Thursday. And then that Friday, I tell my parents, I was like, hey, we need to go to my house today or my apartment. We need to get every animal. Because at that time, I wasn't, breeder status. I had everything in exoteras and they were all done up, all nice and everything. But we need to get all these exoteras out into the cars and we need to put them in the office because they can't be here. Like they can't be here. So we're moving like 6 reptiles in 3 vehicles, all in their exoteras, trying to like put them on dollies and then put blankets over them so that the people don't see us wheeling out dollies full of like snakes and bearded dragon and all that. Oh, that was stressful. That was super stressful. But.
I had so they have access to like the water to my whole building is in my closet there. And I got a message and like, oh yeah, you got to clear everything out. We're coming. Maintenance is coming. What's up, Phil? And at that point, I had a Cuvier's Dwarf Cayman that my buddy had lent me to sort of get back up to size, if you will. And I'm like, oh boy, I'm sure they don't care about the snakes, but if they see an alligator,
they're gonna freak out. Yeah.
So I gotta go hide that thing. Yeah, so they didn't know about that, and I'm like, I'm right next to Allentown, so if I'm in Allentown, it's illegal for me to have one. But I had it for a year or so. It was a cool experience, but it's like, oh, maintenance is coming in, and that's the one thing that would freak them out.
It's gonna get you in trouble, yeah.
Yeah. The Cayman is gonna take down the rest of the stuff that's harmless and nobody cares about. I mean, most of the time they're here, and if I'm home, they're asking about the stuff. It's like, okay.
I would love it.
Oh, I like the chameleon.
I would love to have a Cayman or some kind of like croc or something, but can't have in California. There is so much stuff that's illegal to own in California that it sucks. But I'm also like, at the end of the day, it's probably a good thing I can't own venomous because I would. But like, I'm also not that person that I would buy like all the venomous I want. It's all bush vipers, Insularis, that kind of stuff. So it would never even be a snake that I would just take out and be like, hey guys, look at my snake that has no anti-venom. If I get bit, I'm in a lot of trouble. I'm probably going to lose my hand. Like, no.
But you would go viral and you'd be monetized.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's like if I ever got venomous, it would just be that, and it would stay in its enclosure, and I wouldn't touch it. It would just be a display animal. Like I have the self control to not get myself into a stupid situation with an animal.
Yeah. Now in Pennsylvania, you can have just about
You can have anything there.
Any.
Yeah.
Like I can buy an Egyptian cobra and have it shipped here next week. That's just kind of stupid.
That's nuts.
But we can't have headshots.
We can't have those either.
That one was weird. Same with
ferrets.
Sugar gliders, but that makes sense since flying squirtles. Flying squirrels are endemic to Pennsylvania, so I guess they don't want to get out and they can,
weird hybrids.
Apparently, if you get bit by a flying squirrel, you got to go to like all sorts of different places and get tested and whatnot.
Oh God.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, I would like a nice, if I could have one, maybe or not can with the right license, but like a black-faced timber rattler. That's just cool looking.
That's what I want. I want rattlesnakes because in California you can have native venomous,
and it's native here, and it can't unless I'm allergic to the venom. It can't kill me in the hospitals right there.
Yeah,
but it'd just be cool to look at. But then I can go, flip tin or whatnot and see it and take a picture and be fine with that.
Yeah, that's how I am. I'm kind of like, I would love to have it, but maybe one day. You never know. But right now, I'm kind of fine with my collection where it's at. I have no real desire to expand species-wise right now. Just busyness too. It's kind of like I think I'm tapped out on my limit of like, okay, what the animals I have now, including 2 dogs. But it's a lot. Whenever I go, if I go, I have to go to North Carolina I think it's next week. Actually, I got to double check. North Carolina next week to help my brother-in-law and sister move. So that's going to be fun. I told him, I was like, you guys owe me. I was like, you're making me do the one thing I hate the most in life, and that's move.
I'm looking forward to moving, obviously because it gets me out of an apartment and hopefully into a house. But I'm definitely not looking forward to figuring out the logistics of doing that with all.
Yeah, that's going to be what sucks for me, because for me it's like when I started this, single guy. Now I have a girlfriend, and eventually we're going to be living together at some point. And we've already kind of agreed that when we do, it'll be a thing of like we either sell both of our houses and buy one together, or we start saving money, keep both of our houses, buy one together, and then rent out. That'd be the ideal move, but that's also probably the more difficult move to make. But I'm like, I gotta move like 75 snakes. Like that's like, if we stay in California, that makes it easier. Yeah, sure, because I'm not moving them far. But if we were to move out of state, that you kind of put your season at risk at that point too. Because you hear the horror stories. People, oh yeah, we moved across country, and 90% of my girls didn't lay that year, and it's like, what?
I feel like if you're going to move, you almost that season you're not breeding.
You take it off, yeah, 100%. And I think that's what I would do. I think if I knew I was going to move, like, because if you're going to move out of your state, you kind of know, like, relatively far ahead. And I think if we did that, I would either vastly slim down my pairings to maybe like a handful of clutches for that year, like a handful of like top tier clutches, but I wouldn't be bringing a lot for sure. So you gotta like think about, how am I going to move these eggs? Like,
yeah. And then you got the incubator rattling.
It's a whole headache that I would not want to deal with.
Yeah, I feel like almost it would be easier to be like, hey, whatever the next your buddy next door that's your local breeder. Hey, can you incubate these for me?
That's probably what I would honestly do, because Jacob from Civil Serpents, he lives like 15, 20 minutes away, and then Andrew from Redwood is like literally down the street from me. I actually get my rats from him. Him and Jacob do rats I get from them. But that's probably what I would do. Like, those two are so close that if I were to move out of state and had any kind of eggs, I'd just be like, hey, I'll pay you to just incubate these 5 clutches and then ship them to me when they're ready,
Yeah. So that would be my big concern, is moving an incubator with when you have a generator or battery or whatever, and that fails, or if you're in a U-Haul and you're moving
bouncing all over the place.
Now, if you've ever worked, unloading trucks and whatnot,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's a big metal like
Oh,
microwave,
it gets hot.
like 120 some odd degrees in there, and you got to recalibrate your incubator to handle.
The last job I worked before where I'm at now was a warehouse job, and I started out, warehouse, ended up going into like the e-commerce department. But working in the warehouse, you learn real quick how, like, when you're unloading those trucks, you learn real quick, like, oh, these are like legitimately like hot boxes. Like, it's summertime in California when it's like in that area, it's like 110 during the summer, and you're in that. Oh, dude, it was not fun.
We had some vendor give us watermelons in a normal box in the dead of summer. I can tell you that those watermelons were cooked.
Yeah. Oh, I bet.
And I said no.
And
will be nice. You can use the dumpster.
That's actually why I will only ship to a hub, like, period. Like, I've had people ask me, "Oh, do you ship, hub only?" I'm like, there's no way that I'm shipping to a house, because so when I first started getting into the snakes, I had 2 shipped to my house. One was on accident. One, I said I want to do a hub. They forgot. They shipped to my door. Both those snakes didn't get to my house until 6 at night.
Wow.
And then one was in the winter, so it wasn't like the worst case scenario, because I think they're safer colder than they are hot. So it came to my house at 6. It wasn't the worst thing, but the other one was in like beginning of summer, and that was stressful because I thought he's shipping it next day. It'll get here in the morning. I took the day off work, waited at home. Like, I did everything right. I'm gonna be at home. I'm not gonna, I'll sign it off, blah blah blah. And then it doesn't get to like 5 o'clock, and I'm just like, it's supposed to be next day, like in the morning, not next day in the afternoon. Like, this is a live animal. What are you doing?
Yeah. Actually, the only vendor that has shipped to me here has been BHB. Mm-hmm. There was one I was like, "Are you sure you don't want to ship it to the hub?" No, we're good. You get me home around 10? I'm like, yeah. So I live close enough to the hub that they bring it over in a van.
Okay.
And it's generally the same guy.
Yeah.
Ooh, what you get today? Type of thing. But
my FedEx hub knows me now, and I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but.
And my UPS guy is always the same guy. He's like, oh, more reptile crap. You got another enclosure breaking my back.
Yeah. I felt bad. I bought my big like FB40 freedom breeder rack, so my driveway is like on a slight, like the slightest like incline, and the dude like unloads it. I emptied the driveway. Like, I pulled the cars out of the driveway and was like, I figured, okay, you can back it up on the driveway, unload it into the garage, real easy. He parked at the bottom of the driveway and then starts pushing this thing up, and I go, and I'm like, bro, what are you doing? And he goes, it's so heavy. And I'm like, yeah, it's steel, dude.
Right, I got a 6 by 2 by 1.5 enclosure for my Savannah monitor when I had him. Now that's where the bearded dragon is. I felt so bad for the UPS guy to deliver that.
Oh, dude, it was funny too, because like I said, that I have the Karen neighbor. No offense to anyone who's a Karen, but that's just the way that name has kind of gone now. When I was unloading, like cutting open the wrap and unloading the rack into the garage and hosing it down and cleaning it and everything, she walked out, and I've got all this, I've got tubs everywhere, and I've got parts of the rack all over my driveway and everything. And she goes, "What's that?" And I'm just like, "Don't worry about it." Like,
it's a shelf.
Like, don't worry about it. And she's like, "Oh," I was like, "It's for the workout stuff." And she goes, "Oh, okay." I'm just like, don't be nosy. Mind your business. Oh my God. That's when I started just like having anything I got delivered would come into the garage, and then I would just take it into the backyard and clean it in the backyard, because I don't want to roll those dice.
Yeah, I know certain neighbors know what's going on here because I'm friends with them. But some of the other ones, it's like, what's he doing walking in with this big tub, and what the hell's in there?
Nobody has any idea what lurks in this house, and I hope to keep it that way.
I think they care more about like the rodents than the snakes. But I would know if they get out, because they're all cool colored and whatnot, and not your normal
Just black and white rats.
not your normal rat that you would find. Plus, we have field mice, and that seems to be the only thing that gets in here.
We can't have ASFs in California, so.
Oh, they're what does Antoine call them?
Oh my God, he has it's such a funny name. It's like, what is it, like Kenyan bush hamsters is what he calls them.
He's got a funny name for him.
Kenyan, something like that. Yeah, Kenyan bush hamster or something like that, or gerbil or something.
Hey, whatever works for you.
Okay.
Though on the rodent breeding side, for me, I do need to switch, or at least add ASFs or mice. I don't want to do mice because they suck, but I need that small, nutritious feeder instead of that's like roughly the size of a rat pup.
Yeah, but it has more bone density and it's not.
Yeah, and it's more developed.
The rat fuzzies are just fat and like
they're a fat pinky more or less.
Like at least like a mouse like that's that same size is way more developed. It's got fur, it's got bone structure, it's got muscle.
Yeah, and I'm starting to see that with some of my slower eaters, they're just not picking up. The ones that we're eating every week, they're in here now, and they're in the rack behind me. But there's still 3 hatchlings that are in here from last year. They're almost a year old now, and they should be much bigger.
Yeah, I changed up my feeding quite a bit. Like I used to be pretty like every week, same routine, same day, and now I'll like occasionally for the most part I feed same day once a week. Like usually it's every Thursday I feed, but I'll occasionally go like every so often where I'll just skip a week and like let them just digest everything, clean themselves out, like just because I know how I feel when I've eaten like a big ass steak dinner somewhere. I don't want to do anything. I want to go home and sit on the couch and just watch TV, so I can't imagine having a rat in your body week after week after week. So I started changing it up a little bit to where every so often, like once every couple months, I'll just give them 2 weeks off and let them just clean out.
So
unless they're breeding.
Yeah, breeding. They're getting
they're getting fed every week. Yeah.
Yeah, but bigger. So for me, I'm only feeding smalls.
Yeah, I don't go over anything over a small. I do have like 3 girls that are over 2,500 grams, and even them, they'll just get they'll either get bigger smalls or they'll just get 2 smaller smalls.
Yeah, I have two right now that could take a pretty big medium, or even a retired on the smaller side breeder female. But again, I saw that thing struggle for like 3 weeks. He's like, "Oh, I'm fat."
I had one hatchling that I fed a pup to that I thought was like the right size, and then it ate it and everything. It was fine. The hatchling was fine. It was actually one of my holdbacks. But I remember opening the tub later that day and looking at it and just going, "Oh my God, we're not doing that again." Like, no.
Yeah. It almost looks like something you see in the wild where like it got into like somebody's pet bird. And
yeah.
You see the snake.
I just feel bad. Like it can't be comfortable. So I typically feed on the smaller end, where I feed to where there's a lump, but it's not that big, and my stuff's grown relatively fine. I mean, I haven't had any complaints yet from a snake I've sold being undersized. If anything, those people are kind of like, yeah, it's really chunky and it's eating good. Like, thanks.
So, I mean, there is some logic for me behind just feeding the smalls. It's a lot quicker to raise them up in the rat rack than to raise up mediums. Plus, everybody seems to want smalls, so if I'm constantly either feeding or calling it that size, I have enough. Like, if all my rats died, I'd be good for probably about a month with what's in the freezer.
That's good to have that kind of like fallback for sure.
So I always make sure that I have stuff that's in the freezer for my own collection, and then whatever on top of that. Okay, now I'm either selling or trading or whatever, or hooking somebody up that buys a snake. But that smaller meal more often, I think, is better than a huge meal.
I totally agree. Yeah.
And there's a couple other people that are on that. Or if you're going to feed that bigger meal, you're feeding every other week.
Every other week,
to sort of accommodate.
Yeah, I've always been small. I've always fed small. Not to like And it's funny because it's not I feed small to like how people like with retics are. Oh, I feed small so the snake stays small. It's like, no, I feed small because I'm worried about feeding too big and killing my snake.
Yeah, because if you've ever, fed something that was on the upper echelon of what your snake could eat, and then you watched it eat it and struggle, it's like, it's not a good feeling. It's like,
no, yeah.
well, you ate it. Like, I don't know how my bumblebee spark ate a retired, or no, it was a young male breeder rat that I had to call, just because he was going to be a pet, because I had to move stuff around, and I don't know how the hell she did it. Obviously you look at the girth in the midsection of the snake, and that's as big a prey item, so it fit that parameter. I have no clue how she got her mouth and everything around that freaking
she made it work.
Like, and we're talking, it took like an hour. Like, it took time, so I don't want to do that again, and that's why I'm getting the blood python that can easily handle those retired feeders for me.
Yeah, that's kind of the plan with like my dwarf retics would be like whenever I do start breeding my own rodents, they'll take over the retired breeders and all that.
I mean, I'm sure I'll have, if I'm retiring 4 breeders every month or whatever. I mean, that's a lot of food.
Yeah, it's a must.
So, it's almost a month at a time. And I might, we'll see. We'll see how it works. I know people that have boas and other bigger snakes that
those are also garbage disposals. I've never heard of boa not eating.
Well, and that's what stinks for me. Like, mine, it's never going to get big. I mean, like, when you think of a bigger boa, it's not going to be that. It's going to be like a really small retic size.
Yeah,
maybe. It's going to be 4 to 5 feet. Like, I'll have ball pythons that are thicker.
Yeah, it's actually funny. One of my bigger girls, my third clutch this year, she's like 2,600 grams, and she gave me 2 eggs. I was like, what? I thought you were going to be like an 8-egg girl, and I come in there, I'm like, 2? I was like, what happened?
And that's what's funny. And then you'll have a small one that'll give you like 2 more eggs.
Yeah. I had a girl last year that gave me 8. First time breeder gave me 8. It's like
that's insane. What are my
boy Miggy.
What's up, Miggy? But yeah, it's like the size of the snake doesn't determine how many eggs it has. No. Which is kind of, you would think like, oh, I got this big old Volta girl, and it's like, oh, 2 eggs.
That's how this felt. I was like, this girl's huge. I'm going to get like 10 eggs because theoretically the girl that I had last year that gave me 8 was half her size, so I should get 10. No, 2. But the same thing, it's like 2 other girls I had last year that were the same size as the 8-egg girl. One gave me 4, one gave me 5. So it's like,
yeah, my first one was 5, no slugs. I have no clue what 2 and 3 are going to be. 2 is another first time mom, so who knows? Could be 5, 6, or slugs.
Yeah, I've been pretty lucky with my slug count. 2 years, only 2 slugs. So, and I think the stash is funny. I lost a bet. I lost a bet with the Kings versus Oilers series, so I had to save it into a mustache. And then I was like, I kind of like it. And I was like, I'm going to keep it. Screw what people say. People be like, oh, it's creepy. Why do you have a mustache? And I'm like, I like it. We'll see how long it lasts.
But there's always the, for me, like when I shave, I'll do it in like parts and it'll be funny.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
That's how I do it too. I do like the handlebars and like mutton chops.
And then the last thing is like that epic mustache. It's like, how long can I keep this before I realize that I probably shouldn't go out in public like this? Yeah. Anyway.
It's good stuff.
It's a fun distraction. So, out of clutches that you have for this year, what are you most excited about?
It would be the possible super chocolate DG hypo that I could hit, or it would be the acid stuff I could hit. So I could hit some like acid Mojave, black pastel stuff, cypress, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I figured I haven't asked any questions yet, and we're at like an hour and 20 minutes. So it's sort of just been been talking.
That's all good, dude.
Which is
It's all
fine.
good.
I feel like it's more organic that way. So
Yeah.
Hold on. What was I going to ask you?
Yeah, going on the checklist and all that.
Right, and we covered a lot of the recessive stuff that we're working with. So yeah, I mean, I feel like when it's like this, it's more like if you were sitting next to me, we'd be having the same conversation.
Exactly. It's more genuine.
It's a lot more fun that way. Now, when I have somebody on that, like a Billy or Brian Gunny, it's like, okay, questions.
Yeah, exactly. You want to pick their brain apart for sure. Yeah.
Right. But yeah, I want the show to be just reptile people talking.
No, I love it. Those are my favorite kinds too. I love just like the casual conversation type of show where it's just two dudes or dude and girl or two girls talking.
Yeah, and we were talking about Star Wars earlier. Facial hair. I mean,
we covered everything.
Being COVID breeders and whatnot.
Yeah, being COVID breeders. Yeah.
So I will say, what is one thing that or you learned now or found out now that you wish you had known last year or before your first season of breeding?
One thing. I mean, I don't want to say the typical answer of like, oh, don't buy males, but like, I wish I had bought, when I first started, I wasn't buying too many recessives. And I wish I had bought more females that were, this is actually what I wanted to say. So I wish I had bought less visual females and saved the money and bought more like females that have a lot of like codoms and are het for something. And then taken the money that I spent on the visual females and just bought a handful of like very powerful males that are visuals to plug to all those heads. That's what I wish I would have done. Because now is when I'm like, oh, okay, well I have this male, he's not that powerful. I'm going to buy more powerful males now, which is kind of delaying me a little bit with some projects, but it is what it is.
Yeah, for me on obviously. I took the get all your females too literally.
Yeah.
To the point where it's like, oh, I only have one proven breeder male and no backups.
Yeah. You got to have backups. You have to have backups. 100%.
So, after that lesson learned, I have a male highway that's a proven breeder. And I picked up a couple other, for fun, a lace male, and whatever proves this year. So I'll have some things that are backups. But one of the things I wish, for the as far as the recessives go, that I had more visual females.
Yeah.
Even if they're just single genes, because I can get that banger male.
That banger male, you're still gonna make visuals.
So even if I don't, so say it's just, a super pastel leopard butter, but if I'm taking that to a pied, well, now I just made all those hets. And if I hit the all gene, it can go back the next year to that pied. And, with the het, and half of them, theoretically will come out.
Theoretically, yeah.
Will come out being pied or, clown or, whatever the recessive is. So, like, that's something I wish I would have done and had more, at least one visual female in all the projects I want to work. And that's what's sort of screwing me with the ultramel thing right now, that I don't have an ultramel breeder female, but I'm jumping right into the ultra pied thing, and I have a pied head ultramel. So I worked around that. But
you worked around it, yeah. You found a way around it.
I don't have a visual clown. Now, I could hit clown hypos, next year if things prove out. So like I wish I had that that fail safe like I do with my pied stuff. Next year I can take whatever super awesome male I have, throw it to her, and then the next year, if they all gene is a male, make those pies.
Yeah.
And sort of view projects like that. Or like I would kill for a Desert Ghost visual female right now.
Oh, that'd be perfect, but
because then
I feel the same way.
So all right, what's the best thing I have to throw to it? Okay, let's do that, and then
exactly, and they're making hets.
Well, but you would think it's coming from your visual, so and it's going back to the same animal, so it should have. I think that's why we don't see too much of an issue with that type of pairing.
Yeah.
Not to get into nitty gritty on the DG genetics, but I do think head to head kind of is a little bit might be a little bit harder now.
Yeah.
To hit those ideal, half the clutch or whatever, not half the clutch,
quarter of the
whatever
clutch.
it is.
Yeah.
I'm so bad at recessive odds.
A through Z, yeah, for real. It's gonna cause a whole mess now.
It's gonna be funny now. If it is like A through like a ridiculous amount of letters that go into it. But I mean, they could explain the variation in that.
The quality of DGs too that are out there.
Yeah, I saw a DG Fire that I didn't even know if it was DG or Fire. That's how I forget whose it was. But it's just like the price is right, but it's not like if I think DG Fire, that thing better blind me.
It better pop, yeah.
And it did not pop. But anyway, so and I said I was gonna mention this earlier when we started. So Matt does have a link tree, and it is
everything on there.
The greatest thing ever. It is in the description. If you're already not following him on whatever platforms he's on, you can go to the link tree and find everything, including his website.
That's gonna be still worked on.
But it's so cool. I was perusing around it at work the other day when I found you had the link tree. So if you're not following him, go follow him. Duh. Anyway. So we were hitting that 90-minute mark. And I don't want to step on John's toes because he's got Brandon.
Yeah, John's my boy.
And
so is Brandon. I love Brandon too. So those are two of my boys. So yeah.
I'm sure we're going to hear Ultramel and Sunset and a couple other things.
Definitely going to hear Sunset.
Sunset Ultramel. Brandon's fairly close to me in Maryland. So hopefully, I can get some of the byproducts of the stuff he's producing with the stuff. To sort of add some coat offs and whatnot into my collection. But like I said, we've hit that 90-minute mark, give or take. Big thanks to Matt for coming on. And
thank you, man. I appreciate it having me on. I had a blast. Spending
the evening with me. I'm sure we could continue this for another 90 minutes just talking. And thanks to everybody that's tuned in and stuck it out. I appreciate it. And like I said earlier, it's a different time. So, definitely appreciate everybody coming out. 2.5 hours later than my normal time, or 3.5, whatever the hell it is. There we go. We got a curse word in. All right. So I will see you guys next week where I have Chuck from Chill Chondros on. Again, not at my normal time. I believe that one's at 6:30, but stay tuned for the post. Matt, any final words for the chat?
Just thank you to everyone that's supported me my first few years in this and continues to support me, man. I appreciate it. Whether it's, liking a photo or subscribing to YouTube or just being my friend in the community, I love it. I wouldn't be able to do what I do with these snakes and sell them without the community. And the community, to me, you hear a lot of bad stuff going on, but for me, it's been nothing but good. I've only had good things happen. So much love to everybody that has supported me that first, 3 years in this. And thanks to you for having me on, man. I appreciate it a lot. I had a lot of fun tonight.
Man, thanks for coming on. And we unfortunately only managed to show off one snake. It happens, but like I said earlier, check out my morph market, get a deal. Matt Sommers Reptiles for the keyword, and I might take half off. Who knows? All right, we'll see you next time.
I'll see you guys. All right.